Hello everyone, my name is Comfort from Skynet Consult Corporation, and here with me today is Mr. Effects from 360 Travels and Tours. So together we are doing a video about the US visa interview session, how it should go and how students should answer their questions. So Mr. Effects is a professional. He handles US visa applications, visit visa, and he has wealth of experience in that field. So he's just going to be answering the questions. I would ask the question as the VO, that's the visa officer, while he'll be providing answers to those questions.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
No problem. So let's get started. And I guess as we proceed, I will give more breakdowns on the questions that I answer.
Yes, you will do that. So the first question is, what program are you going to study?
Okay, so I will be going to study Master of Business Administration and Data Science from the University of Pennsylvania in the US.
All right. So why did you choose that university?
Well, I chose the university because the program's curricula perfectly aligns with my career projection, given my role at my current company, where I work in two separate companies. One is 360 Travel and Tours, and the other one is Marcos Technology. Having a combination of data science and Master of Business Administration, it's like just the cream of the crop of actually what I wanted. I could not find that back home here in Nigeria in any particular institution, so I had to look for it outside of the country, and that was why I settled for University of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so have you traveled out of the country before?
Yes, I've traveled to 9 countries multiple times. For example, last year 2024, I was in South Africa, in Belgium, I was also in Kigali, Rwanda, and Kenya. Previous years, I've been to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, been to Ghana, been to Tunisia, just to mention a few. So now, the reason I had said that the program's curricula perfectly aligns with my career projections, that is what the visa officer is essentially looking out for. So anything that you want to study, you don't just wake up and choose a program that's totally different from your current field of study. And even if you were to do that, you have to perfectly explain to the visa officer why you have done that. I always strongly recommend that your program that you have chosen should have a curriculum that essentially and perfectly aligns with a career projection that fits what you're currently doing. So you don't just want to select the degree, you want to look at the course outline that you'll be taking at the institution. I had not gone into detail to mention some of these courses, but you could even take it a step further and mention, that this is actually the course outline. In this place, I'm going to be doing DST 404, so and so, so and so. That particular analysis will help to build your credibility that you have done your own due diligence in researching the program beyond surface level into intricacies of what you're going to be studying, like area of specialization. For example, in data science, you have software engineering and you have data analytics. So those are area of specializations that you could mention in the interview. Further on that as well, if you have a travel history, it helps to build your reputation that you understand cross-border protocol and immigration policies, that you're not going to be a security risk to the country you're going to. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Effects.
Yeah.
So I'll just continue.
Okay.
When is the program starting?
My program is due to start on the 26th of September and it will span for 21 months, which means it terminates June 2027.
Okay, so how many universities did you apply to?
I applied to a total of 3 universities at US here.
List them.
Okay, one of the universities is Northeastern University at Boston, Massachusetts. I also applied to Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and of course, University of Pennsylvania in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so who will be covering for your study?
Okay, so at this junction, I'll be saying that I'll be covering for my study, but I'll give the analysis of when you have a situation where someone else will be covering for your study. So in this case, I would say I'll be covering for my study. I've paid a tuition of about $30,000 upfront towards the study, and the balance of my tuition, including my living expense, has been adequately set aside in a savings account. All my earnings and have been set aside for the purpose of this study. I put them in a savings account that would cover for the duration of the study. Now, if you're going to study and you have somebody that is supposed to act as a sponsor for you, maybe your parent or your uncle or auntie, unlike other countries, the US is not particularly restrictive as to who can sponsor you, provided it's not an institution. So if your uncle is supposed to sponsor you, this is how you're going to respond. Okay, my uncle, Mr. Ade Ifechukwu, is going to be sponsoring my studies. He has been in charge of my studies since I was a child. He covered my tuition fee at my primary school, secondary, through to my tertiary level currently today. And he currently works in the role of Chief Operating Officer at maybe Adip Oil and Gas Company.
Okay, so what do you do?
Okay, I'm the Chief Operating Officer of 36 Travel and Tours. I lead a team of 35 personnel, which include protocol officers, ticketing and reservation specialists, and travel management consultants. We provide travel management and protocol logistics services for high-profile clients such as Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG), Nigerian Basketball Federation (the NBBF), and Ajib Oil and Gas Company. Specifically, my team are in charge of deploying ticketing tools where we're able to capture and receive the requests of staffs of our clients, process these requests, and ensure that the travel services that have been placed are adequately executed. You see how I'm able to properly align myself and position myself as someone who holds a very credible and strong position back home here in Nigeria. That is one thing that they will be essentially looking at because they want to see that you would return after your study. So whatever it is you do, you want to be able to properly explain it with pride and confidence. That shows that it's not just about what you're saying, but the composure through which you present yourself.
All right.
Thank you.
So where will you be staying during your study?
Okay, it's pertinent upon the securing of my admission, my visa, that my faculty officers are able to secure an accommodation on campus for me. So until then, I'm unable to secure an accommodation. Thank you. Now, you might say, okay, is this going to do you a disservice? No, not at all. Actually, it shows that it puts the burden of the accommodation on the position of the visa officer. So the visa officer knows that they need to give you the visa for you to make conclusive arrangements with your faculty officer to get an accommodation on campus. Everybody understands that across the world. Thank you.
Okay. So do you have any relatives in the US?
Yes, I do have my younger brother who will be graduating from Drexel University come this summer. He's graduating from the Department of Master of Information Science. Now, for you, if you have a relative, please mention, especially if the person is within a close family type, nuclear to extended family, not too distant family, because then if you can guarantee for the person's legal status, please, you can go ahead and mention. Other than that, I don't see why you should mention your uncle's sister's junior brother. No, there's no need for that. So,
all right. Yeah. So I think the next one should be: are you married? Do you plan to travel?
Simple answer: I'm not married. No. Okay. What's the next one? You said.
Do you have any kids?
No kids. No, thank you.
Okay. So I would like to give an explanation. What if somebody that is married?
Okay.
Is there a follow-up to are you going with your family?
Yes, please. So I always strongly recommend that if you're going for your study, if you're going for short courses like masters, 1 year, 2 years, they are still short-term courses. So where are you going with your family? The only exception is if you're going for a PhD program, then it makes a lot of sense that you want to go with your family, and those are probably your dependents as opposed to your spouse. So
okay. So what are your plans after study?
Oh, my plan after study is to return to Nigeria to reassume my role as Chief Operating Officer and take up a higher role at Marcos Technology as the Chief Lead Business Strategist. I think in this area, it is more of a function of what you want to do post your study coming back to Nigeria. So you want to be able to present yourself properly to show that you have serious commitment back home. At no time or reason do you want to make the mistake that some students do make where they say, oh, they intend to take up internship to work 1 year and gain the US experience. Please eliminate that from your mind. It should not come into your mind at all. So do not mention it at any reason or for whatever cause. So the reason you're coming back is the next reason that you're going to be looking out for study is to return home to Nigeria to reassume a role or take up a higher role at your current organization. This shows an expansion plan and expansion mindset. You're not just thinking about your whole concentration is focused on Africa and coming back to Nigeria, and that's the image at all times that you want to present. If you're unable to find a job or if your job refuses to take you, they are all psychological questions.
Yes.
And every time most students fail them every now and again. So you start to answer, well, if I'm not able to find a job, I'm going to look for another job and apply. No. So what would be your response? Your response will be straight up and direct. Well, that scenario is not going to be occurring because I have a binding contract agreement with my current organization. There's no reason whatsoever that I would have to find myself in that position. My job is secured and the contract agreement is with me, as you would say. So please, you don't need to fall into that trap. It's systematic, and every single person that is going to be interviewing at that particular embassy location, whether it's Abuja or Lagos, are behavioral psychologists and they are trained. So simple.
Okay, so can you show proof of financial support?
Yes. Rarely would they ask for that, but you also want to have that on you if perhaps you're the exception and they ask of it. So you're going to have to show if you're going to be sponsored by an uncle or by your parents, you want to take your bank statement with you and a letter of sponsorship and also a documentation ID, government issued documentation of the person that is acting as your sponsor. Those are the things that you need to present.
Personal experiences, we've had cases of probably people that studied, let's say, they studied things like microbiology, and they've been working in the bank. Let's say they're working in the bank for like 8 years, and then they want to go for a master's, and then they're not going for something like healthcare, or they're looking for something related to health, to the health field. So for somebody like that now, how do they explain this? What are your career goals, and how does this program help? Because when you look at their history, they don't have.
There's no synergy in the history.
Yes.
It's not connecting. You did microbiology, and currently you're working in a bank, and now you want to do healthcare.
Yes.
There's nothing that aligns here. So what you want to do is to align your program. It's a different ballgame when you're in the US and you're trying to change program. Even though it's still very difficult, I don't always recommend that because the US system is different from all other systems. So if you want to change program, you need to get issued a new I-20 from the school and reapply for them to reissue your study permits to align with your current school. So you want to go with a program that aligns with at least one of your experiences, either your degree or your current work experience. I favor your current work experience because your current work experience is more recent and you probably would have done that for a couple of years and you can build on that background. But even if you wanted to switch, you should switch to something like your base degree, which is the microbiology. So saying, okay, unfortunately, the current, but then that would bring up other questions like, what do you want to do post-study? So you now see why it's difficult because they are looking at how you're going to have commitment to returning home. If you come in and you say you want to do something with your degree and your degree is not aligning with your current job, then there's a misalignment and that could constitute a problem. So professionally, I always strongly recommend that you just go for something that aligns with your current trajectory, career projection, as opposed to what you just did as your base degree. Yes.
Okay. So what if they ask you, have you looked at companies in your home country that you would be interested in when you graduate? Is that like a possible question that could come up?
Yes, they can throw the questions in. The questions are the same, but they are usually thrown through different ways to catch you off guard. So the way they put their questions is to hit you off your perceived center because they know most people would have rehearsed and planned and prepared. So they would throw the question in a way that you would not know. And just as you've asked, the whole thing still boils down to, well, I'm not going to be looking at other companies. I love the company that I currently work for. I have a binding contract with my company and I'm contractually obligated to fulfill the rights of that contract. So post-study, I'll be returning home to reassume a new role at the company. And that's it. You don't need to start whatever, any way they want to twist the question. Remember what it is. Your company, your company, your company. Consistency in your words. And that's what's most important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ifek. So what other tips or what other
there's also a very important tip that I almost forgot to mention. It's also, since like I said,
before you go, so the tips should be before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview.
Okay. Before the interview, get your applications right. Consult from a professional, as we have here. Make sure that you listen to them because they are wealth of experience in preparing people to move abroad. That's what you should be looking out for. I know the risk of DIY, you want to do it yourself and save cost is good, but trusting in people that have capable hands can make the job a whole lot easier, and as opposed to you getting your first refusal, which can then become a snowball that starts to affect every other application you do. So you might be thinking you want to save, so I'm recommending that you actually reach out to a professional consultant. The second tip, because consultant is going to eliminate all these other things about preparation. So let's assume that now you've done your part, you've reached out to consultant, you've gotten your admission, you've gotten your appointment date, it's time for you to go for your visa. This is the second critical part. Note that, like I said, they are behavioral psychologists, so one of the cues that they observe is your composure and your body language, your courage and first impression. It's extremely important. So how do you prepare yourself? It's not just beyond what you say confidently, also how you present yourself. Look for your best suits as a man, and for a lady, you're also depending on what you're traveling for, which is actually the study. So if you're just going for business, you can dress another way. But if you're going for or family visit, you can dress another way. But if you're going for study, try and look as formal as possible. Look for formal wears like maybe a blue suit and a white shirt or something and a tie properly knotted. Remember that the people you're going to present before are Westerners, and positioning yourself in their culture shows that you understand how they are. So it's not the period for you to show that you can actually wear abada.
Yeah.
So it's not that period. Nobody is, and we understand that you love Africa, so and you love Nigeria, but this is not the time. There's a time and place for everything. So wear your suit very well. Make sure you look very composed. If possible, wear a glass, whether medicated or recommended. Usually, people have a subconscious bias towards people who wear glasses as being academically more inclined or nerdy. So if you have one, you can put one on and go there. Do rehearsals, do mock interviews with your friend, with your consultant to prepare you. It's over the almost close to 8 years now. I can tell you that it can be the difference, or rather, it's usually always the difference. Those people who come there, you feel all the wealth of confidence that you're a public speaker, you do this, so you didn't do any practice. So you come there feeling, or when you get there, there's usually a tension between two people, and that tension all of a sudden catches you off guard, and that spoils everything. But preparation, no matter the type of tension, when you've prepared, no matter how you're caught off guard, because you've prepared, your brain has been wired to subconsciously give a certain kind of response. Slow pace your responses so you don't sound too fast and you're okay. Then post securing the interview, on securing your visa, it doesn't end there. There's also border protocol. So border protocol, remember that because you're giving visa, it doesn't give final entry into the country. So while you're rejoicing that you now have a visa, you could be turned back at the airport, as I have seen in certain of my clients over the years.
Wow.
Maybe that's conversation for another day. Yes, because she was overexcited and elated, and they look out for that. The immigration officers at border control are trained to look out for those type of people. They are happy with you and they'll be smiling with you, and that's how they're leading you to the plane that is taking you back home. So you also want to remain composed at the border when they're asking you questions. So, what are you here? You're here to the US? Yes, I'm here to secure. So you look relaxed. It's something you do every day. You don't come, even if it's not something you do every day, that you don't travel as often. You want to make it look like it's something that you're used to.
Yeah,
when you go there, when you're very happy, they send you back. The lady was very happy. She didn't know when she said she wanted to give birth in the US, and they sent her back. One of my clients. Another case too with somebody else. So the visa does not guarantee your entry into the country. Never does. So border control have the final decisions at the point of entry. These are actually the tips I have to give.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. FX.
Thank you very much. Thank you.